Is it lawful? Is it lawful? Boy, we got an interesting lesson this morning. Matthew 22:17, tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Is it lawful? First, let's try and define the word lawful. Webster's dictionary, it's the one I use, gives several meanings. Some definitions say it has to do with legitimate or legal, based on the law. You've all heard those terms, haven't you? Legitimate, legal. Boy, some of those lawyers know those terms. Which Webster defines, now Webster's going to tell us a little bit more about this. He says it's an edict, a decree, an ordinance, or a statute. And that brings us to the next question. The Pharisees were asking Jesus about tribute money or taxes paid to Caesar, which is a lot like the questions, I don't know if you've ever been asked this or not, about your own taxes. How many times have we ever had to really be concerned about our own taxes? Well, let me tell you this. I came from a farming environment, and farming is a business. And if you want to know what the law says about what you can deduct in your farming expenses on your taxes, ask a farmer. I don't know of a one unless he just didn't make a crop at all, and even then he'll probably want to use some deductions. But farmers know. Businesses all know. Banks know. Everybody knows what the law says about taxes most of the time, except us. What's lawful and what is not lawful, and what do I owe? What does your state or your government, what do they use taxes for? Has anybody got any idea? What's your state or your government use your taxes for? Any ever paying attention to that? They got a big circle, and it's a pie, and they got the pie all cut up as to what every one of your taxes go for. I usually get one in the mail every year, from our representative. What my taxes go for. And then there's always a survey, what else would you like for them to go for, Or would you like to cut a piece of the pie off here and put it over here, something like that. But they have it all mapped out and written out. Now, what you don't know is who in the middle of that piece of pie. Let's take education. That's a piece of the pie. How's that broken down in education? Most of the time you don't know that. Most of the time we don't know that. Hopefully our governor and congressmen and senators know that, and hopefully our federal government knows that. Has it all broken down? But, oh my, let's not even get into that. Let's talk about Jesus, and let's talk about these Pharisees trying to trap Jesus. They don't want Jesus to be recognized as the only begotten Son of God, just like it is today. But they're trying to show him up. They're trying to trap him. They're trying to get him on the wrong side of Rome, and they're trying to get him on the wrong side of the Jews that a lot of them are beginning to believe in him. So they got to stop this. So we've got to ask Jesus a question that he can't answer. Because either way he answers, he's going to hurt somebody's feelings. Have you ever been there? So Jesus, when he was asked this, what thing is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? They had to throw the or not in there. So Jesus asked these Pharisees, he said, show me your tribute money. And they brought him a penny. Boy, I don't know if I got a penny this morning. Woo! I got a bright, shiny copper penny. Let me lay that out. Look here. Where did I get all this? Let me lay that out too. Now then, they brought him a penny. They wanted to know, and they're still trying to trap him, okay? They wanted him to know where his loyalty was concerning tribute money. And were they in for a surprise? They're talking to the Son of God, for crying out loud. He knows what they're thinking before they even think it. We may learn something about this too. So let's pay attention to what Jesus does. It may have something to do with our printed money. Oh, our printed money. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's money that's been stamped out. Let's see. Oh, printed money. There's a dollar bill. So we've got coins and we've got dollar bills. We've got the money that we use in the United States of America, okay? So let's hear what he tells them. Matthew 22:20. And he saith unto them, Jesus, who is this image on and superscription on your penny? Do you know whose picture is on our penny? Okay, good old Abe. All right. And they say unto him, Caesar's image is on our penny. Caesar. Then saith he unto them, here it comes. Here's the wise of the wise of the wise. Here is when you can say something to somebody that asks you a question and they're trying to trap you. Yeah, they're trying to get you caught in between something, that they can maybe use on you or something like this, And most of us are just Gomer Piles. We're just gullible. We'll just blurt out what they want us to say. And then bingo, you're trapped. But not Jesus. No. So they've asked him the question about who's the image, and they say it's Caesar's image that's on the money. Then saith he unto them, listen very close, church, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's. And then you don't stop there. And unto God the things that are God's. The debate's over. We've got a lot of debating going on today, but the debate's over. He said the thing that won the debate. In other words, what a lot of them say when they get done with the debates, our candidate knocked it out of the park. Well, Jesus knocked the Pharisees out of the park. The debate's over. Give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but you better give God what belongs to God. Because what's he saying? Well, if it's Caesar's tribute money, then it's God's tribute money. Boy, That's hard. I know it's hard. But I'm going to tell you what, of all the tithing messages that I've preached in my life, this is the softest one I ever preached. I really didn't feel, too bad about preaching this message. I'm letting you down easy. What if you had Dave Ramsey hollering at you all the time? Listen, I paid $100 just to listen to this guy for 7 days. And I'm telling you, he is full of advice, and he knows the law, and he knows the best way for you young people. Now, when you get my age, it's just about too late. But if you're 20-year-old or 30-year-old, if you'll listen to him, when you retire at 65, you'll be a millionaire. And it won't cost you a fortune. But you got to listen to him. A lot of people have listened to him and are still listening to him. So let's listen to what Jesus is saying. When he says, give Caesar what's Caesar's and give God what's God, listen to him. Now, I really like the way Dave put that. He said, when you give, when you tithe, and when you have offerings, but let's just center on tithing. When you tithe, you cast your bread upon the water, it'll come back to you. Well, I liked when he said it's not always money when it comes back to you. Sometimes it is. But he says the blessings of God come back to you, and they will. The old truck just keeps running. You can't figure out why. The old washing machine just keeps washing clothes, and you can't figure out why. Our sink stopped up, kitchen sink last night. And I was saying, Lord, if I have to get a plumber out here, you know what that's going to cost me? And I looked under the sink, and there was some plumber's choice. And I took that out, and I poured that in that little old sink. And I waited, Directly a couple of bubbles came up. And nothing happened. So I took that gallon jug and I poured it in there again, And I waited. I walked off for a while, watched a good old TV program, Western or something. And I came back in there and whoa, the water's gone. Whoa. So then I hit the hot water. And I let that run, and it just kept gurgling down. And I said, it's like when you're getting a car, it's about ready to start, or a boat motor. But anyhow, directly it was taking more and more water, and I was, come on, And then finally, boom, it just took everything, And I thought, I'm saved from a $125 plumbing bill. Could have been more if he'd have got out of the house. So, that's just coming in, sticking a rod down you. But anyhow, so God sometimes gives it back to us in blessings. Didn't bother me at all. Put my offering in this morning. God or the plumber, which one do you want to pay? Or the car, the automobile, or sickness. Or the kid's sick. We got to have medicine. We got to have all this. And if God continues to bless us with our health, my goodness, add that up sometimes. Oh. So anyhow, the Jews, they were waiting to, everybody was sitting there waiting for the answer. Well, okay, yeah, give to Caesar what's Caesar's. Well, they didn't really like to give to Caesar. Now listen, we're Christians. Do we really like giving taxes? Do you really like paying taxes? You work all week long, and you get your check, and it's just whittled up everywhere. Where are they coming up with all these taxes at? I mean, used to it just be, your money and some little tax here, federal tax or something like that. Now then, it's FICA tax and every other tax that's, coming off of your check. But anyhow, I don't know where they come up with it, but sometimes, listen, if I can save money on paying taxes, I'll save money on paying taxes. But I want to be legal. I want to be legal. I want to pay Uncle Sam what I owe Uncle Sam. I want to pay Uncle Sam what is Uncle Sam's, and then I'm going to write my congressman and try to get the law changed. See? Hey, that's the way it is. Render unto Caesar what's Caesar's. That's what Jesus told them. But he said also, give God back what he's already given you. It all belongs to God. I don't know if the federal government tithes on their money, but maybe they say, well, the charity, we give it out. Have you ever seen a piece of the pie that's Medicare and Medicaid? Huh? It's about half the pie. So maybe they say, okay, Brother Larry, just preach to me all you want to. I'm Uncle Sam, preach to me. But before you do, look at this piece of the pie that goes to charity. I said, yeah, but where did it all come from? But anyhow, arguments here and there. So, the Jew, paying Roman taxes was a burden to them. It was dishonoring to them because they wanted to honor God with all their giving. After all, God was their ultimate allegiance. They gave him everything first. If Jesus wanted to be popular with the Jews, all he had to do was say, I'm against paying Caesar anything. Yay, yay, the Jews would have went, And then, we're coming after you, Jesus, the Romans would have said. You remember, was it last week, how Jesus told the disciples how to pay their taxes? Do y'all remember that? Anybody remember that? Hold your hand up. You don't have to tell me. Just, y'all remember that? You remember in the scripture how Jesus told the disciples to pay their taxes? All right, now let this sink in. Took a rod and reel. No, he took a fishing pole. He could have took a net. I don't know. But they went fishing. He said, go fishing. First fish you catch, reach in his mouth. I don't know how big a mouth that fish had. But reach in his mouth and take the money out of his mouth and go pay the taxes. That's Bible. That's Jesus. Boy, wouldn't you like to have him as a buddy with you on a fishing trip? Where's that gold piece at? Where's that fish been nibbling on that gold? But anyhow, all he had to do, but he didn't. He pay Rome what's Rome's and pay God what's God's. So let's look at the answer just a little bit more. Now first, y'all already know this, but if hearing this message or this lesson this morning, you probably got a good hint from Dave Ramsey. The clip. How many of you already figured about what we was going to be talking about this morning? You think, why would he use that clip if he's going to be talking about something else? No. I use that clip because that's most of the time what I'm talking about. So anyhow, we have tones of giving or tithing or, listen to me. It's not easy preaching on tithing, on giving. And then, boy, he hit me this morning. He said, just so I can be safe when I get up into heaven, these people that holler on the gross or on the net. Well, most of the time, I tell people the net, what you have control over. you know. But he said, I'm going to pay on the biggie. I'm going to pay on the gross. And I know a lot of people that pay on the gross. We've been doing it quite a while, you know, above. But anyhow. So, you knew what I was going to be preaching about from the clip, and it is going to be about giving, and it's going to be about your stewardship of God's money that he's given you. You need to let that sink in a little bit real quick, because it's not as hard on you if you let that sink in. It's God's money to begin with. Everything you have, God has given you. Oh, no, Brother Larry, I worked hard for that. Well, who gave you a job? Well, if he did, he could have done better than that. You know, and on and on and on the story goes. But it's God's. Please, it's God's. If you'll listen, and if you'll listen and not turn me off real quick, it could be very rewarding to you. Now, when Dave Ramsey started the class and started teaching his class about investing and the rewards from investing, when he started, I thought, oh man, not another one of those classes. You know, I've heard that most of my life. I always thought to myself, well, Dave, where did you come up with the first $1,000? You done got $100 of my money. And they start talking about you got to give to receive. You got to give to receive. They're not going to give you anything back until you give. And I don't know whether God operates like that or not. But he could. He could. You can stumble and stumble and stumble and fall all through life on, is it a law? He went all the way back before Abraham to Melchizedek, okay? He went all the way back. This 10% thing, it goes back into Genesis. And these people that followed, I don't want to call it a law, but I'm going to tell you it's very serious. Because wherein did we rob God? He first says, there'll be no thieves in heaven. And this always bothered me. It may not bother people today, but it's in the Bible. There'll be no thieves in heaven. Wherein did we rob you? They asked God. He said, you robbed me in tithes and offerings. Well, wait a minute. When did I know that I robbed you? Because I told you. It's all from Genesis to Revelation. But anyhow, boy, you're still in here with me. Okay. Just give me a few minutes of your time. Listen to the reward part, okay? Okay. We all want to skip out on paying taxes. Hey, I understand paying taxes. You know, it bothered me ever since I drew my first paycheck. I put down what they were paying me an hour. It's $1.25 an hour. And I worked 40 hours. And I put that all down. And I thought, boy, I can't wait to get my check. When I got my check, it was more like 75 cents an hour. I said, what's all of this? Of course, everybody done warned me ahead of time, you know. Don't think you're going to come home with that much money. Now, that's a long time ago. Okay, church. Don't think you're going to come home with a lot of money. Hey, it was money to me. I worked on a farm all my life. When I went to the factory, Keith, I thought I'd arrived. I'm headed for my first million, Mercy, was I ever mistaken? All right. It was true in Jesus' day, and it's true today. We don't like to pay taxes. And if we could figure out a way to get this tithing thing worked out with God, we might, cut a little bit on that. I don't know, but he's just got the greatest computer system there ever was. You just can't beat him. You can't trick him or nothing. Look at here. Jesus, they thought they could trick Jesus. Give to Caesar what's Caesar, give to God what's God's. How you gonna work with that? But anyhow, comedian Jay Leno, y'all know him. He gives us a little advice about taxes. Let's hear what he has to say. He said, are you worried about an IRS audit? He said, here's what you do, avoid what's called a red flag. Have you ever heard of that? Huh? Jim, we know what the red flag is, don't we? Avoid the red flag. So when the red flag pops up, you be careful. It's a red flag. There's some things that you can put in your tax figures, especially an audit, but there's some things when you pay your taxes, there's some things that if you put in there, red flag to the IRS, they say, whoa, take this one out, throw it in that pile. Take this one out, throw it in that pile. Here it goes. So you don't want to do no red flagging. So Jay Leno said, watch out for the red flag. Avoid it. Boy, if you got any red flags with God, huh? Hey, it's hurting. It hurts me. It hurts all of us because we don't want to do this. Let's listen to Leno, okay? He said there's something the IRS always look for. For example, Leno says, say you have some money left in your bank account after paying your taxes. He said that's a red flag. If you got anything left, if you pay your tithes this morning and you got anything left in your billfold, that's a red flag. We need to check that out. I'm trying to make this as easy as I can, church. Okay? Oh, my goodness. Jay Leno. Oh, now while you're laughing, you settle down a little bit. You say, well, he's not one of these. This is not real bad, He got a joke thrown in there. Let's take the coin. What's on the penny besides the picture? What's on it? I believe on this penny it says up over the head of Lincoln, in God we trust. Well, how is that still on a penny today? It's got the word God on our money. Well, it's not our money. What about a quarter? Do you think it's on a quarter? Yeah, there it is. Right at the neck of Washington. In God we trust. Well, okay. It's on all the coins. What about the paper money, which they tell me after the election is going to be worthless? I don't know. You hear all these rumors. But anyhow, on a dollar bill, on the back of the dollar bill, the green part of it, up over the one, O-N-E, the letters one, it says, on mine anyhow, in God we trust. In God we trust. Now, just because I had you to get your money out and all that I'm not going to take up another offering. Just put your mind at ease, I can put this back in my pocket. You can put it back in your pocket, Just wanted to prove a point to you, Unless you ushers, y'all think we need to? No. They count the money, you see. Oh, me. All right, now then. Oh, so what is Caesar's is Caesar's. What's our government is our government. And, we've looked at the laws and we know what we owe, and what's God's is God's, and we owe it. We owe it. What do you mean we owe it? According to his word, all of it belongs to him, but he's just going to entrust certain percent of it to us. Anybody know what that percent is that he gives you? What percent does he give you of $1? Boy, everybody's quiet. Well, let me tell you. You get to keep, 90%, and you can give offerings off of the 90%, But 90 cents out of that dollar, it's all God's, but he lets you have 90 cents. And he says, 10 cents of that dollar is mine. If you don't want to rob me, you give me that 10 cents. If you don't want me accusing you of robbing me, you give me that 10 cents off of that dollar. It all belongs to me, but your stewardship on the dollar is 10 cents to me. Now that, when you put it like that, it don't sound like much, does it? So what happens to us when we make $2? I don't know. That's 20 cents now. Huh? You make $10. Well, I don't know. There goes a greenback. And you make $100. You make $200, $500. What if you make $1,000 a week? How much harder does it get for you to give God his money? Now, this is an easy sermon. This is easy. I mean, it could get rough. A lot of preachers a lot rougher than I am. I was watching Dave up there, and I thought, my goodness, I'd hate for him just to hammer me real good, But anyhow, let me tell you something, church, and I got to get through this. Giving is the ultimate sign that you trust God. Get into somebody's billfold and you'll tell how much of a Christian they are. When Peter stepped out of the boat, now he sunk. But you remember what I said about what was the most important thing that Peter did. It wasn't that he took a few steps on the water and sunk. The most important thing that Peter did was he stepped out of the boat. He decided to get out of the boat, get out of the regular, get out of the way it has been in my life. Get out of it. Do something earth-shattering. Believe God, trust God, and see what happens. I don't want to do a side photograph of myself, but I haven't missed very many meals. Most of my life, I've been trusting God. I went to church just all of my life. I've heard these preachers talk about that, but I was young, and that didn't apply to me. I thought, how am I going to make my first million if I got to get half of it back to God? Well, if I had of, I might have made the first million. Talk to Dave Ramsey? Yeah. When I'd have hit 60 or 62, I would have been a millionaire if I'd have listened to him. Man alive, we don't have an idea of what the law of investment, what's all contained in the law of investment. You don't have a clue. I listened to that man and I thought, man, and it got down to where that when you're 20-year-old or 21 or 22-year-old, you sink $10,000 into the stock market and then forget it. By the time you're 65, you're a millionaire. You don't have to do it every year. You don't have to do it every 10 years. Now, granted, back in my day, making $1.25 an hour, and 10 cents of that was a night bonus. So the average was $1.15 an hour. It would have took me a long time. Saved up $10,000. But if I'd had all that knowledge back then, I guarantee you, I would have been putting some of it back. Now, it would have happened quicker back in the 60s. It would have happened quicker. I'm talking about today, 2020. It's an ultimate sign that you trust God is your giving. If you really want to know what the most important thing is in giving and what it reveals, he says just check if you got a checking account, check your checkbook. Just see what it goes for. What's it go for? Just read your checks. Look at your check stubs. What's it go for? Your bank statement. What did it all go for? Your receipts. Your level of trust in God. Talking about a red flag, that checkbook of yours is going to be a red flag. I can guarantee it. That's where the rubber meets the road. Do I love you, God? Do I trust you, God? Show me your checkbook. I can tell you how much you do. See, the most important thing Peter done was got out of the boat. Most important thing you can do is to trust God with your resources. Most important thing you can do. That's where the rubber meets the road, the old truckers saying. Level of trust. When it comes to faith, do you really trust God enough to give a portion of your resources to do his work? Tithing is an act of faith. Tithing is clearly demonstrating your commitment towards God. God owns everything. We are simply here to be stewards over what he already owns. And God sees what you do for your church. He sees how you help your church. And if you're doing a lot of these things, don't walk out of here limping, carrying a club foot because, I ain't been doing these things. He stomped all over my foot, It ain't me stomping on you, it's the Word. It's God. It's his Spirit. And all I'm trying to do is get you on good terms with him when you go before the judgment seat. I don't know. I'm trying to do the best I can, church. It does pay to find out what the rules are. Okay? Giving is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to impact the needs of our church. The church won't make it without you doing it. All right. The needs of this church, the needs of foreign missionaries all around the world spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, the needs in the community that you live in. You say, I don't have much money, preacher. I don't feel like what I could give that church would have any impact on that church whatsoever. Well, talk to the widow woman that gave 2 mites. See if you can get in a conversation with her. But you'd be wrong if you think that what little you could give would not be appreciated and not be noted. You'd be wrong. Yep. You ever heard the old saying, every little bit helps? There's a lot of businesses that have become businesses on the little bit of help that they've got. My goodness, I'm going to give you all an example before I close. It's that trust thing. Trust God. If you ever gave when you didn't know what you was going to do about your needs next week. Now listen to me, church. I've always told church members, if you're in debt, you try to get out of debt or get your funds to where you can give to the Lord and you can make your note payments. But don't you keep getting in debt if you're robbing God, because that's not very smart. Just throw that in. You out there online. Y'all probably turned me off a long time ago. But anyhow, if you're still there, it's a trust thing. Johnny Jennings. No boy. He's 88 years old when this happened. He was honored by the state of Georgia for giving more. You talking about every little bit helps. He gave more in his lifetime. He gave more than $400,000 to the Georgia Baptist Children's Home. Guess when he started, he was 18 years old. Guess what he done? He sold paper and scrap iron. And he done that his whole life. He supported orphans. Jennings' favorite quote was from Pablo Picasso, and it was this. Listen up. The meaning of life is to find your gift. Anybody need some new gift tests handed out? To find your gifts. And then, that's the meaning of life. Find your gift. The purpose of life, boy, this is going to hurt. The purpose of life, after you found what your gift is, give it away. Give it away. Use it. Give it to God. It's that trust thing again. You either trust Him or you don't. So simple, but so hard. Are you going to listen to God? Are you going to listen to His Son, Jesus, when He said, give to Caesar what's Caesar's? You try to hold back on Caesar and you see what happens to you. You say, well, God's a loving God. He's a merciful God. The New Testament fulfills the law of the Old Testament. Don't y'all get messed up on that. It's trust. So, time to get out of the boat. Gotta quit. I'm surprised I've got all y'all left. Hey, listen, I went through all this. I learned it was hard to trust God because the devil, he'll work you over in the beginning. Wow, we just can't do it. We just can't do it. We said the same thing. Ain't no way. Where's it at? What's the bottom line? Ask Stephanie and all my family. Dad, husband and dad and grandpa and He keeps up every jot and tittle. I keep up where I'm at all the time. I know what I can do and what I can't do. And you know what the advantage of that is? I see when God blesses me. I see when God blesses me. No plumber today. Can you imagine what it cost on Sunday? God's good. Stand with me. Bow your heads. Father, thank you today for your teachings, your word, your instructions to us, your advice to us, your encouragement to us, God. Thank you for revealing yourself to us. For God, when we keep your word, when we work at it, and it takes working at it because you know how strong the old flesh is, and you know, seems like everything in the world will happen while we're trying to do our best. But God, thank you for encouraging us today. And God, thank you for all the financial blessings, the roof over our head, the shoes on our feet. Yeah, and having feet to put the shoes on. Yes, Lord, for everything that you've given us. And God, for salvation. Try putting a price on that, my goodness. And then God, for that place you got prepared for us on the other side. It's going to be worth every sacrifice that we made, God, to be there with you in heaven someday. And God, there is joy in giving. There really is. And God, there really is joy in helping a neighbor. And there's joy in helping somebody that's down on their luck, God. Somebody that's trying, but everything just keeps knocking them down. And God, help us to help them to get up. And God, help us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world and then at home too. Thank you for loving us so much and for entrusting in us that 10%, God. And you're just wanting to know how much we love you. How much we love you, God. It's an important step. So help us to make the step, God. Help us, God. Help us to pay off our bills and our debts, but God, help us too to be mindful of, we can't use the 100% for ourselves. The church wouldn't go on if everybody did that. Your gospel wouldn't be all over the world if everybody kept it all. Thank you, God. Thank you for our nation. Help us to be good stewards. Help our leaders of our nation to be good stewards of all the taxes, God. And God, help your church to be good stewards of all the tithes and offerings. And thank you, God, for just giving it to us. Bless us all. Help us all. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen.